Anil sir, am I audible? Can you hear? Anil sir, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. I'm here, sir. No problem. I'm
Okay.
available.
Oh,
I'll
yes, yes.
wait for your instruction. No problem.
Oh, okay, okay, okay,
Let
sir.
me
Okay,
just try and slide on the knocket. Let me just see if I can share.
okay, okay, okay.
Slide is visible, no, sir? Slide is visible?
1 second, sir. 1 second. Not visible.
കാണുന്നുണ്ടോ?
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
it is visible.
Okay, share. Thank you. I am going to stop sharing. Okay.
Yeah. Minimum 2 മണിയായോ?
തുടങ്ങാം സാറേ. Good afternoon, all. We have reached the third session of day 2, our FDP on mathematical foundations for machine learning. Our third session topic is type of machine learning, and our resource person is Dr. Prashant R. Nair. About our resource person, Dr. Prashant R. Nair is currently working as Associate Professor of Computer Science and Engineering of Amrita School of Engineering, Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham, Coimbatore, India. He has over 20 years of teaching and research experience. He started his career as an engineering faculty in Amrita and later as a faculty in business administration and also faculty in cyber security. He has authored around 6 academic books and over 50 publications in well-reputed journals. He has been ranked as top innovation mentor in India by Adal Innovation Mission, and he coordinates the activities in Tamil Nadu as regional mentor of charge. We are very much privileged to have Dr. Prashant R. Nair as our resource person today. On behalf of Sri Buddha College of Engineering, I welcome Dr. Prashant R. Nair to handle the session. Welcome you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, madam. Am I audible to everybody? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for the kind introduction. Anil sir, the coordinator of this FDP sponsored by AICTE Atal Academy from the Sri Buddha College of Technology, Kerala, distinguished faculty members, attendees of this seminar. Dear friends, I'm at the outset. I thank for this opportunity. So, what I will be doing is just giving you a very basic overview on the types of machine learning in a very fundamental sense. But I also wanted to spend some time on understanding how machine learning fits into the artificial intelligence scheme of things. So I'll spend a little time on that also. Now let me just share my slides. Is my screen visible? Can you please confirm if my screen is visible?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So, as mentioned, I work in the Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham, which is a #1 private university in India with the Coimbatore campus. For almost 12 years, I was also heading the department as the vice chair of computer science and engineering. Now I have stepped down from the vice chair role a couple of years back, but for the last 10 years, I'm also the vice chair of the internal quality assurance cell, coordinating the complete rankings and accreditation for the university campus in Coimbatore. So this is about just a picture of our beautiful campus on the left in Coimbatore. So I want to actually, before I bring the concept of machine learning and where it fits in, I want to just spend a little amount of time on the where ML is needed and why it fits into the larger scheme of things with respect to the artificial intelligence. Now, many of us do not, many of us use artificial intelligence, machine learning, data science, analytics in a very synonymous fashion. Actually, it is not accurate by any standards to talk about machine learning as artificial intelligence as machine learning, and there is a very subtle difference between them. Rather, machine learning is basically the engine that drives the artificial intelligence, and it is basically a subset of the entire scheme of things. Now, we need to understand what artificial intelligence is. For that, we need to also understand what is human intelligence. Artificial intelligence means you are making the machine, the computer, the system behave as though it is working and thinking, adapting, and taking decisions like a human being. So artificial intelligence is essentially mimicking of the human intelligence. And what is this human intelligence? The human intelligence is you are able to take decisions. You are able to understand issues. You are able to observe, recognize, understand, discern, evaluate, and take decisions. And not only that, that decision that you have taken, you are able to store it and retrieve it as per the requirement. A simple example. You have applied for a passport. Your passport has expired after say 10 years. Now you are going to renew your passport. Maybe there has been some changes in the procedure here and there, but at the same time, by and large, the process of the passport is the same, and it is there in your memory, and you are able to retrieve it. Yeah, I know, and now I am going to apply for a passport. When I am applying for a passport, I have to give a photograph, I have to give biodata, I have to give my parents' name, I have to give an ID, I have to go for a police verification. All these things are coming back to your mind when you are reapplying for a passport. Yes, there might have been some changes in the procedure here and there, but you are able to easily navigate through your memory, find out, retrieve the information that you already have, look into the present situation, the new rules for applying for a passport, and applying those things accordingly. So that is the human mind. And why human beings are the dominant species on this planet is because of this capability. This capability that we are able to understand, observe, recognize, take decisions, apply your mind, and store the information. Rather, we are able to have a cycle of managing information, collecting the information, gathering the information, storing the information, retrieving the information, analyzing the information, using this information for decision making and doing actions. No other species on the planet is able to do this as efficiently as a human being, as also able to communicate it properly. And that is why we are the most dominant species on this planet. So artificial intelligence is imitating human intelligence and using that for various reasons. It may be for speech processing. Somebody is giving an audio. You are able to say, okay, this is the voice of X. This is the photograph. You may, your photograph. You may shave. You may not shave. You may have a beard. You may shave off your mustache. But either way, the computer is able to detect you and find out things. So artificial intelligence is mimicking human beings, and when you are mimicking, you are able to take decisions, whether it is speech processing, image processing, video processing, predictions, learning, problem solving, and so on. And today, with the pandemic becoming so much part of our life, we are seeing an embracing of digital transformation. We are moving towards everything smart education, smart healthcare, smart logistics, smart manufacturing, smart cities. We are seeing that in the last 1.5 to 2 years, the trend of digital transformation has increased. We are moving more and more towards smart products. We are more and more applying and deploying artificial intelligence everywhere and anywhere. And what drives this artificial intelligence? It is the machine learning. It is a machine learning that drives this artificial learning. Now, this is a very important slide because I want you to get this perspective. AI is the superset. The superset, this big, ellipse is the superset is artificial intelligence. And as I mentioned, artificial intelligence is the technique that enables the computer to mimic human beings and take decisions. It could be through some logic, through some heuristic, through some if-then rules, some statistical method, whatever be the case. And what drives this artificial intelligence? It is the machine learning. Machine learning is that subset of artificial intelligence. Please understand, it is a subset of artificial intelligence that primarily uses different mathematical and statistical tools and techniques. Different types of tools, techniques, methods, algorithms, heuristics, so as to be able to take decisions. And now we will see that. Now, where does deep learning fit in? Again, people confuse. Deep learning is also a subset of this machine learning. Deep learning is a subset of the machine learning, right? It is a subset of machine learning wherein you are using algorithms, techniques and heuristics which are connected or based on some kind of neural networks. As you know, neural networks are which mimic the brain and the neuron functioning. There are different types of neural networks. There are convolutional neural networks, CNN. There are recurrent neural networks, RNN. So deep learning is a subset of machine learning where we are primarily employing different algorithms and techniques and tools and heuristics which are connected and utilizing the multi-layered neural networks. And the neural networks could be recurrent or convolutional neural networks. So we need to understand this big picture. This big picture is very, very important. This big picture is very important because we need to understand that AI is the superset. Machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence because machine learning only drives this artificial intelligence, and deep learning is the one that is a subset of the machine learning, which is the tools and algorithms that are based on neural networks. So I want you to get this bigger picture is very important. Now I'm skipping this AI part. Possible I'll come back to this, but then I wanted to do this before I get into the machine learning concept. Now, today we are living in a world which is characterized by big data analytics. There is so much of data available. Data is being generated every single second in such a huge fashion. This is a very unpopular example. Blu-ray disc. Blu-ray is a kind of a format for music which is not at all popular. At least in India, we don't use much. Abroad, some places they use Blu-ray discs. But today, even though this is not a popular format, if we take the amount of data that is being generated every day on Blu-ray disc, it is equal to the height of 4 Eiffel Towers. You can imagine, and mind you, Blu-ray is a very unpopular format. Now, today we are living in such an explosion of data. There are several examples. The largest very interesting information. The largest media company in the world. We think of various names. Is it Fox? Is it American Online? Is it Warner? Is it Z? The answer is largest media company in the world is a social media platform called Facebook. There are 2.72 billion users. 1 out of 3 people is having a Facebook account. You can imagine the amount of data that is being. You may update your relationship status. I may put today's lecture on the. I may put it on the image. Almost 3 billion people are posting things on Facebook. Maybe not so regularly, but what I'm trying to say is, you can imagine the amount of data that is being generated by Facebook. Even out of 2.7 billion users, if 500 million users are using Facebook today, you can imagine how much of data is being generated. YouTube, 2 billion users. How many videos are being uploaded every single day? Every single day. Amount of data that is generated. Why? You go to any smart car. Suppose you are having a smart car today. You are having a car that is very smart. Okay. In every car, people estimate that there could be 30 to 70 sensors. So many sensors are there everywhere. Every single place there are sensors. Imagine the amount of data that is generated by these sensors. Apps. You know, who was telling me every day Uber has got 10 million rides or something all over the world. So where is this data? All this data is there, and we are looking at an explosion of data, which we nicely call by what is known as big data. Now, this big data is a minefield of information. Everything and anything, the history is there in this big data. Now, we need the machine learning to look at the data, to read the data, to understand the data, to discern the data, to analyze the data, to evaluate the data, and also get insights from the data. So machine learning techniques and tools and methods and algorithms and heuristics are the engine that drives the artificial intelligence and the engine that analyzes this big data. So much of data is there throughout the world. So machine learning is a tool to analyze the data. So much of data is there. And from this data, you try to identify patterns, relationships, here, which may not be so visible, or sometimes they are very, very visible. Sometimes they are not at all visible. So you use these tools and techniques and methods to analyze, to identify the pattern, identify the relationship, and look for insights and take decisions based on these insights that were developed. This is clear. Take decisions based on this insights that are taken. Now we need to understand some basic terminologies for machine learning. We generally talk of machine learning dimensions, features, and attributes. They are all the same. Attributes, characteristics, features, dimensions. They any class or any machine learning parameter will have attributes, characteristics, dimensions, features. They mean the same. Machine learning works with what is known as a class or a label. A label is a series of grouped data. All the data within a label follow a specific pattern. So we are always looking for labeling classes. Classes means one class of entries or observations have got the same behavior, have got the same features, and so on. So we need to all understand these things. When we talk of feature, dimension, attribute, characteristic, it means the same. When we talk about classes and labels, we are trying to get observations or entries that are examples that and records which are similar. So examples, records, samples, observations mean the same. They are more or less the same. Observations, records, examples, and samples. From these observations, records, samples, and this thing, we try to make labels of classes, and each class is a group of observations or records which have similar pattern. So we need to understand these basic terminologies. So many a times, so some textbooks will say feature, some textbooks will say attribute, some textbooks will say dimension, some textbooks will say characteristics, but they are all the same. Some textbooks will say records, examples, samples, observations, they are all the same. Some will say classes, some will say labels. More or less, a label is nothing but the address of a class. So we need to understand these terminology. Now, what happens in machine learning? You always have what is known as a data set. So many entries of data. Now, the data may be structured or unstructured. Most likely, the data may be unstructured. Unstructured means they may follow different patterns, different formats, different methods. Now, I just give you an example. You are all attending an AICTE Atal FDP. Now you are applying for an AICTE STTP. Even though it is the same AICTE, the format will be different. The talks are pattern is completely different. So even though it is the same AICTE that is sponsoring an FDP or an STTP, STTP is short-term training program. The format is different, the pattern is different, the methods are different, and you are always grappled with what is known as a big data set. Now this data set will be having so much of items. What we need to do with machine learning is use the tools, techniques, heuristics, algorithms, and extract the features that you want from the data set. Identify the problem. So you have so much of features, so big data set, so much of data. There are so many features or dimensions, but we need to understand the problem, look for the features that you want, and choose the right model for the extraction. That is the logic by which machine learning goes. So you choose the right model, you select the model, you do a training, you train the system, and based on the training of the system learns, the system analyzes, the system predicts, and based on the prediction you get your answer. So this is a general logic with which we are. But one thing that is very critical is always we are grappled with a very big data set, a data set with so much of information, right? Now I'll come to this. Now coming to the main topic of today, the types of machine learning that are there available. Basically speaking, broadly speaking, machine learning can be divided into three. The three major types of machine learning is, first is supervised learning, which is more or less synonymous with classification. The second type of machine learning is unsupervised learning, which is more or less synonymous with clustering. But please understand, it is I am using an approximation. Actually, within supervised learning, there is a classification and regression. But the most primary supervised learning method or technique is classification. Likewise, in unsupervised learning, there are other methods also, but the most dominant and prominent machine learning unsupervised technique is cluster. And the third one is reinforcement learning. So we will see each of these in some level of detail. Okay. Now we come to supervised learning, which as I mentioned is synonymous with the classification. Now, for whether it is clustering or classification, whether it is supervised or unsupervised, you give an input, the algorithm or the logic works on it, and you get an output. This is common. There is an input, there is an output. And the input is the data set, the output is what the prediction or what output you get out of this, right? That is one thing which you have to understand. Now, just 1 minute. Okay, sorry. So for everything there is an input and output, and that input is the data set. The algorithm or the machine learning tool or technique, either it is clustering or classification or regression, there is an algorithm, a logic, and we get this logic will give us the output or the prediction. Now let us see supervised learning or classification. Now here it's a very simple example is given for classification. You want to buy a chair online, okay? You know how a chair looks like. There is an instruction manual that gives you the picture of how a chair will be. A chair will be having four, legs. A chair will be having a kind of a rest or a horizontal surface for a person to sit, and so on. So, you know, you want to buy a chair online. You know how a chair looks like. You know the features of the chair. It will have four legs. It will have a horizontal surface. This is the instruction manual. So you know how a chair looks like. You know what are the attributes of the chair. You know that the chair will have four legs. You know the chair will have a rest, and all the aspects of the chair are there in the manual. And the manual has a picture and all types of chairs. Every time you want to understand whether this is a chair or a table, you go back to the manual and look at the manual. And over a period of time, you don't need to always look at the manual, right? You can easily, through your memory, you can understand. Same logic is used in classification. As I mentioned, classification is the most prominent method of supervised learning. So here, what is it? The data is the parts of the chair. The labels are the names of the parts of the chair, the four legs, the horizontal surface. Training refers to the manual where we are fitting all the parts of the chair. Testing is looking into the various pictures and classifying them as chair. Output is whether it is a chair or not. So this is the process by which we do the classification or the supervised learning. I'll give you another example. Now you have pictures of cats and dogs, right? Cats and dogs. This is a dog, this is a dog, this is a cat. You know how the picture of the dog or cat is. But interestingly, there are cats that look like dogs. There are dogs that look like cats. I'm sure you have seen that. There are some dogs which look like cats. Likewise, there are cats that look like dogs. So you may find these kind of outliers. But basic logic is, you know what the features of the cat are. The cat will have whiskers that will not be there in a dog. The cat, the image of the face of the cat, the head of the cat is very distinctive. There will be whiskers. There will be this kind of nose. Look at the dog. The dog will have big ears. Different type of ears, different type of face. So this is this is the known label. This is the dog label. This is the cat label. And how do we know? We look into the manual. We know the picture of a cat. We know the picture of a dog. We keep it into our head. We train the model with the picture of the cat, the picture of the dog, with the features of the dog. Cat will have distinctive features like whisker, which will not be there in the dog. This kind of ear is a very distinctive feature of a dog that will be not there in the cat, and so on. So this is classification. So you have the picture of the cat, the picture of the... Now you have so many images of cats and dogs. You simply make the model train based on these images, and you classify or you label each entry as dog, dog, cat. Now, this may not be 100% accurate. I told you that there are some dogs that look like cats. I think there is I don't remember, there is a dog called Dachshund. It looks like a cat, but it's a dog. So you will find that kind of a result which may not be able to properly classify. Here what you have done, You have the manual, cats and dogs. You have the picture. You have trained the model. And then you have so many images. You classify them as a label cat, label dog. But here and there, you will find unforeseen data. You will find errors, inaccuracies, and then you will be taken for a ride. You will sometimes fail in that label. Maybe you may get 95% accuracy, 97% accuracy. But by and large, when you have the labels, it is by and large somewhat easy for you to be able to find these things out. Now coming to unsupervised learning, or which is, as I mentioned, more or less synonymous with clustering. More or less. Okay, more or less synonymous with clustering. Here in unsupervised learning, we do not have any manual. There is no picture of dog or no picture of dog cat. Another example. This is how the raw data looks like. Now from this image, you can make out that some of them are birds, some of them are fishes. But very interestingly, see how this bird image is almost similar to a fish. Please understand, this is the meaning of outlier or odd data. You have a data set, there are many fishes and there are many bird images. You don't know what a bird is, you don't know a fish or a bird. It is raw data, it is unlabeled data. You do not know what it looks like, you do not have the manual. Now, what the clustering algorithm or the unsupervised learning algorithm will do is, it will extract features and patterns on its own. It will cluster all the similar things together and make its own label. So, based on the raw data, it will extract features, try to understand the algorithm will work. It may have several iterations. And finally, you cluster all the entries that are based on fish. These are all the fishes. These are all the birds. But please understand, this bird looks like a fish. If you slightly tilt the angle, it's almost like a fish. So these kind of issues are always there, and accuracy may not be 100%. So this is the concept of clustering or unsupervised learning. As I mentioned, cluster is the most popular type of machine unsupervised learning, but there are some other techniques. I will come to that a little later. Now coming to the third type. Yeah, before that, I'll just go to that other slide also. No, not this. Yeah. Now coming to the third type, that is reinforcement learning. Reinforcement learning is like what is known as a bootstrap circuit. I'm sure you have heard about bootstrapping. The output is given back to the input. That is a bootstrap. So every output is given or fed back or feed forward or feedback or feed forward, whereby the output is given back to the input, and that is factored in the next decision making. Simple example. You are preparing for an annual exam. You are writing a lot of exams. Throughout the academic year, you write so many exams as practice. Every practice exam you write, you will get an output. If you do well, you will get a reward. If you don't do well, you will get a negative. So you get a positive, a reward or a warning. And every single time you get a reward or a warning, the next time you prepare for the practice exam, you get that feedback from the reward or you get the negative feedback from the warning. And based on that, you change your performance, you modulate your performance, you modify your performance so that you click better in the exam. So the more number of practice exams you take, the better will be your final annual exam, because every single time you are trying to improve. You are trying to get the feedback and bring the feedback back, right? Yeah, every time you are taking the feedback. So it is like a reward system. And that is the concept of reinforcement learning. Every output that you get, that output is taken back to the input. And based on the plus or minus, you modify the behavior every single time and move forward, so that more practice exams you take, your annual exam will be much better. So these are the so this is actually a hybrid thing. Reinforcement can be have some tools that are unsupervised in nature, some tools and methods that can be unsupervised also, but the basic idea is the output is fed back, the feedback is given to the input. So generally, this is what I was telling you. An agent interacts with the environment by performing actions and learning from errors and rewards. Error is negative, reward is positive, and the next action depends upon the action taken for the previous output. Every output, you take it back. The reward is based on the reward you improve, based on the warning you again change your behavior so that you improve. That is the logic behind the reinforcement. So summing up, supervised learning, as I mentioned, is basically, you know the manual. It makes machines learn explicitly. You know the manual, you know the data, the label, the clearly defined output. You get direct feedback and you get the feedback. And primary method is classification and regression. I'll come to regression a little later. Unsupervised learning is you do not know the manual. You have only the raw data set and you don't know the manual. You don't know which is a dog, which is a cat. You don't know which is a fish, which is a bird. And then you figure out from the raw data set, you understand, you cluster them into patterns, and that is unsupervised learning. And reinforcement is reward based, positive reinforcement, and means from every output, whether it is a reward or an error, you learn from that. And finally, every single time you improve so to maximize the reward. So there are some tools that we can use very efficiently for machine learning, like a confusion matrix, which is based on true negatives, true positives, false positive, false negative. Especially, methods like biometrics and all. Confusion matrix are very popular in terms of predicting. And true negative is the normal packet, which is classified as negative normal. True positive means abnormal packets that are classified properly as attack or abnormal. False positive is a normal packet is incorrectly classified as an attack, and an abnormal packet incorrectly classified as normal is a false negative. So even in biometrics, we have a similar thing: false accept rate, false reject rate, false accept rate, false reject rate, false non-match rate, and so on. Some things are there. So these are some of the popular performance metrics that we use for machine learning, which includes accuracy, precision, recall, F1, and so on. Yeah. This is what I was trying to tell you. Where are the applications and use cases of these techniques and the different types of machine learning tools? As I mentioned, reinforcement learning or rewards-based learning, where the output is fed forward to the input, you get rewards for plus or minus, and you improve based on the plus or minus. That is, it is generally used in robot navigation. It is used in gaming. It is used in skill matrix, skill acquisition, skill improvement, and so on. Then you have supervised learning. As I mentioned, the most popular method is regression, classification. Classification is used in various applications like image classification, video image classification, identity fraud detection, diagnostics, security applications, customer retention. The other statistical technique that is part of supervised learning is regression. Regression is again like a prediction or a curve fitting. Regression is basically a curve fitting. You're trying to ensure that the data is, you're trying to fit the data into an equation which characterizes the entire data. And where is regression used? Regression is used for estimation, prediction, whether it is market forecasting, prices, weather forecasting, life expectancy of a person, predicting how the population is exploding, advertising, and so on. So but primarily the most common supervised learning technique is classification. Regression is a very not so popular as compared to classification. With respect to unsupervised, as I mentioned, clustering is it is more or less synonymous. And where is clustering used? Clustering is used in marketing, customer segmentation, recommender system. Today, a lot of AI-based recommender systems are there, which are very popular to tell you which are the best products and so on, and marketing. And the other type of unsupervised learning this is actually a technique to help clustering, reducing the dimensions or dimensionality reduction. It's actually a sub technique where you have so many features, but you don't need all these features. You only need a few features to take a decision. So you use dimensionality reduction techniques to reduce the number of features or dimensions, and this is used in certain places like security, big data visualization, compression algorithms, and so on. So this is the broad classification of the types of machine learning. This is what I've been trying to tell you. Regression is, this is a straight line. There is an equation for this line, and you try to fit all the data in such a way that all these data points are more or less connected to this straight line. They're correlated to this. This is again a type of supervised learning, but not as popular as when your data is very homogeneous. Means when your data is all mostly of the same pattern, there are very few outliers, there are very few abnormal data points in your data. Regression is a better method compared to classification, because all your data is following a set pattern. There are very few outliers, very few abnormal data points. So it makes sense for you to not use classification, but regression, where you're able to predict the value of a variable based on the value of another variable through a straight line equation or an equation. This is the thing. I think I've come to the So one very important thing that is also needed for machine learning is to have, see, as I told you, machine learning depends upon the data. It depends upon the data set. And I also told you that we are now grappled with the explosion of data. So much of data is there. So it makes sense for us to be able to make the data in a fashion, in a method, in a format that is very easy for the machine learning algorithm to work on. That's a very important thing. You want the machine learning algorithm to be efficient, to be accurate, to be precise, to be able to give you prediction, which is very good, either clustering or classification, either supervised or unsupervised. But ultimately, at the end of the day, everything depends upon the data. And the data has to be in a format that is palatable, easily accessible, available for the machine learning algorithm. And that technique to make the data, clean up the data, make it presentable, make it palatable, is data science. Data science is that method. So in data science, basically we have so much of data. We want to make the data in such a way that it is very clean, palatable, useful for the machine learning algorithm. For that, we can use some tools which we borrow from statistics, mathematics, programming, visualization, so that we make the data very clean and information. Now for this, there is a very interesting transition that I always say. I'm not able to find that slide. it's not here. Okay. There is a very easy, nice transition. I don't have it in my slide here, but I can tell you. Actually, I have data. I have a data set. The data is raw. I want to convert that data into information. As you know, information is processed data. Now that information I want to transform into knowledge. Knowledge means it is of useful information. And that knowledge I want to transform into intelligence. So the transition of should be from data to information, from information to knowledge, and knowledge to intelligence. And what is that intelligence? You are able to take decisions. As I told you, so much of data is there, big data. But what am I going to do with this big data? I want that data, but I want to convert the data first to information, where the data is processed from unstructured to structured. Well, more or less structured data is information, but that's not enough. That information should be now converted into knowledge. Knowledge means there is a base, there is a logic, there is a logic in the sense that you have a base where you are able to take decisions. Then you want to convert that knowledge into intelligence. So that is what data science does. The data science are using some sort of scientific methods. It could be statistical models, mathematical models, visualization models, analytical models, scientific models, so that the data that you have is so cleaned up. The data has transformed from information to knowledge to intelligence, and this you just give it to the machine learning algorithm. The accuracy of that machine learning algorithm improves because of this data processing. You're processing the data in such a way that it is easily accessible and palatable for the machine learning algorithm. So data science is, you can say that, as I mentioned, machine learning is the engine that drives AI. In the same vein, the data science is the engine that drives the machine learning. So the machine learning will make the data so palatable using these mathematical statistical model. This is what I told. Data acquisition. You are collecting the data, collating the data, converting the data into processed information, and then you're wrangling the data. Wrangling the data means cleaning up the data in such a way that it is very palatable using statistical model, clearly presentable, and so that it becomes the fodder for the machine learning algorithm to execute in a more efficient manner. And when you do the data science, you can get different types of reports, multi-dimensional reports, data visualization, and so on. That is all the thing. And today, more or less, Python has become, very much the lingua franca for data science. So many packages are there for acquisition of data, wrangling or cleaning up the data like pandas, exploring and visualizing like matplotlib, modeling the data like NumPy, visualizing like SciPy. So many tools are available. So that's all. I think all from my side. It's not. I'll close. Yeah, this is not. I think that's about it from my side. I will be very happy to answer as many questions as possible. I think I finished a little ahead of schedule. Over to the organizers. Thank you very much. I'll be very happy to answer as many queries as you want. Thank you very much. Oh, I finished in 50 minutes.
Dear participants, do you have any queries? Please unmute your mic and please ask. Or you can ask your queries in our chat box.
Feedback ഇടാൻ പറയണല്ലോ സൗമ്യയോട്.
one more thing I want to convey is since most of you are faculty members, just give me 1 minute. I can spend some more. Since we have a little time, give me a minute, just 1 minute. See, this is a very excellent tool for faculty members to explain the basic fundamentals of artificial intelligence. The tool is known as Prolog. My slides are available with the organizers. The links to get this Prolog is basically a kind of a high-level interactive language where you can do some simulation of artificial intelligence. It's based on logic, programming in logic. So basically, you are giving some logic to the system, and I have given the links also where you get this Prolog. But this is a very good way for you to drive down to the students what is exactly how this artificial intelligence works, how the fundamentals of artificial intelligence works. It's a very good tool. Now it's an interpreter kind of language, like Unix and all. Interpreter, immediately you get the output. But just to cut the long story short, it is used for language processing, grammars, and as I understand, for students this is a very easy tool. It is freely available. You can get that online. It is freeware, and you can train your students to get some idea on artificial intelligence. I'll give you a simple example. I'm not going into the syntax, but I'll give you an example how it works. It works on what is known as facts, rules, and questions. And how are these facts? I will give you a simple example. So this is how it works. Saleh is a teacher. Nora is a teacher. Saleh is the father of Jabber. Nora is the mother of Jabber. So it's very clear. Saleh is the father of Jabber. Nora is the mother of Jabber. Saleh is a teacher. Nora is a teacher. So from here, this fact, it is very clear that we can make a rule that it is understood by us that Saleh and Nora are related as husband and wife. Because Saleh is the father of Jabber, Nora is the mother of Jabber. Saleh is a teacher, Nora is a teacher. From here, this fact, we are building a rule that because Saleh is the father of Jabber and Nora is the mother of Jabber, it is very clear that Saleh and Nora are husband and wife. That is the fact. That is the rule that we are giving. So based on that, we can give some logic. Now, another example is Hamza is the father of Saleh. So Hamza is the father of Saleh. Saleh is the father of Jabber, and Jabber is the son of Saleh, and Saleh is the son of Hamza. It is very clear that we can make this rule that Hamza is the grandfather of Jabber. So like that, based on facts, you can give very, very simple facts. It's like English itself. You can give the thing, and then you can ask questions like, who is Jabber's father? The answer will come like that. You can give facts, rules, and you can build what is known as a knowledge base. Ultimately, what is an artificial intelligence? There is a knowledge base. You are giving knowledge, and based on the knowledge, it is making decisions. So I will strongly recommend, because most of you are faculty members from various colleges. I will recommend that you can look into this Prolog and try to understand how it works. I think that's all from my side. I think I finished a little ahead of schedule. Any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Anil sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Any questions from the participant side? Please ask. Any questions?
Yeah.
Any questions?
Sir, kindly briefly describe about the semi-supervised.
Sir, you're not visible, man. You're not very loud.
Hello.
Yeah. Tell me.
Can you kindly briefly describe about the semi-supervised learning?
So semi-supervised is only a kind of a simple kind of a corollary with respect to it's actually a mix of data where there is some labeled data and some unlabeled data. Okay, and in semi-supervised learning we have some labeled data, and that labeled data is very less, but there is a lot of unlabeled data. And generally what you are doing is you are using this small subset of labeled data and trying to classify the unlabeled data. That is it's a hybrid technique. You can say it is somewhere in between supervised and unsupervised, but this is a basic example. So some data sets will have very few good labeled entries, and the other entries are all unlabeled. Many of these, this security chatter, intelligence agencies, generally intelligence agencies work with this kind of semi-supervised data sets because they have very little good labels, and the other chatter or these all unlabeled, and then based on that you try to figure out. It's a hybrid technique to some method, and then you may have to have so many iterations to get the correct thing right.
Participants, any more queries?
We have half an hour for queries. Please feel free to ask. Chat. Any more questions? So I have in the chat box, I have given my email ID. It's very easy, prashant@amrita.edu. prashant@amrita.edu. This is my email ID. Many of my talks for AICTE, FDPs, both technology and also related to higher education quality like IQAC, OBE, NAC, NBA are available on my new YouTube channel. I have just started a few months back. If you just search for Prashant R. Nair, PRASHANT space R space Nair, you will get my Facebook page or YouTube channel. All the lectures are also there on the Facebook page. So anybody, you're please welcome to explore my lectures. This is my email ID, prashant@amrita.edu, prashant@amrita.edu. It's available on the chat box. Thank you. So any more queries? I'll be happy to answer. We have half an hour actually for queries.
I think, sir, all are satisfied with the session.
Okay.
Thank you very much, sir, for delivering this session. I would like to invite our FDP coordinator, Dr. Anil A.R., to propose the vote of thanks.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Dr. Prashant R. Nair from Amrita. I hope that everybody understand the basic concept of machine learning that include supervised learning, unsupervised learning, reinforcement learning, and where it is used, what are the applications. And he explained with the different examples. Thank you, Prashant sir, to deliver an excellent presentation. And I hope that these fundamental concept of machine learning understand each and every participant. Thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Anil sir. Thank you to the organizers. Wish you all the best. Please keep in touch. If you have any queries, you can just drop an email or this thing. I can even give my number. Just give me a minute. ഇവിടെ chat ഇവിടെ chat is here. I have also put my mobile number in the chat box for the benefit of the participants. Thank you very much. Good day. Hope you have a very good learning in the remaining sessions. I see a lot of my friends are there speaking. Wish you all the best. Thank you very much. Stay safe. Sherry. Sherry sir, Kanam sir. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Sherry madam. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, dear participants. Tomorrow, our day 4 session begins at 9:30 a.m. First and second session will be handled by Dr. D. Menaga on the topic artificial neural networks, and the third session will be handled by Dr. Rakesh N.K. on the topic mathematical model for machine learning. Please join tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Thank you all.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Feedback
Thank you all.
link is shared in this chat box and also in our WhatsApp group. Yeah.